It is pivotal to the WashU experience to get off campus. I think that the in St. Louis portion of the name of our school is often neglected.
I think for WashU students, the value they will find is that St. Louis is such a multiracial, multi-ethnic, diverse community in so many ways.
I think there's great value in the students getting off campus and coming into the Delmar Loop or other areas too. That's part of life, to interact with people that you might not interact with normally.
Oseo Dakwadoa Galen Grits, Chalasi Sedelawa'i Degega'i St. Louis. Hello, my name is Galen Grits. I am a Cherokee from St. Louis. I am a native of Missouri, have lived here my whole life. St. Louis is a fascinating place. There are many stories that are well known, there are some that are lesser known, and there are some that are hidden. And we are at one right now, Cahokia Mounds. It is a great treasure. In fact, it is a United Nations Heritage Site. This is only 20 minutes from WashU's campus. Cahokia Mounds is a series of mounds on 2,200 acres. It's beautiful, it's verdant, it's a wonderful place to visit. The largest of which is back here, which is called Monk's Mound, and it is the largest man-made structure prior to Columbus, north of Mexico. It's very spiritual to go on top of it. Almost everybody says that. You can see a huge vista in this area. You can see the St. Louis Arch, which is a few miles from here. At the same time, it gives you the opportunity to learn about our past, which, as I mentioned before, is often hidden from us. This city was known as Mound City for the longest time, and yet all the mounds were destroyed on purpose. It's been covered up. So this is a great opportunity to start uncovering and learning about the importance of that. And so it is an amazing place to come and visit. It also tells you a lot about the history of these people. And it can become a roadmap for you to learn more about Native Americans, because there are 574 tribes today. Most people can only name one or two, and that's a shame. But this can be the beginning of fixing that. One of the beauties about St. Louis is there's enough here for us, if we do it correctly, for all of us to thrive. And all it requires is good manners, hope, and watching each other as a human being, realizing that we have the same feelings and the same needs. And so over the years, the Germans have come through, the Irish have come through, and obviously they're still here in one form or another. Bosnians, Afghans, so on. It's been a wonderful community in accepting people of all different types and giving them an opportunity to contribute. You don't have to leave St. Louis to have the world come to you. We have great restaurants, we have great shifting populaces that come through. We have just an amazing amount of art, energy, and it really is a city of neighborhoods. And if things are going to be changed in this country and in this world, it has to come from down below. And I really believe that, and I see that happening in St. Louis.
I'm originally from Maryland and came to St. Louis my freshman year, ready to explore a new city. And this is definitely one of the places that I've loved coming to in my time here. This is the Grand Basin, so we're right in front of Art Hill and right in front of SLAM, St. Louis Art Museum, which I've also gone to a lot. So yeah, I think I just think of myself as somebody who really loves being outdoors, really loves being in the city. So Forest Park is a place that I spend a lot of my time. I think part of the reason I chose WashU is because I wanted to be somewhere where I knew there was lots to explore, where I knew I could walk around the city. Forest Park for me was a huge thing. It's just something that brings me a lot of joy. It's very grounding for me. There's tons of trails around Forest Park, and I live in University City, which is, I'm like a 10-minute bike ride from where we are right now. I just think it's really liberating to have so much space in this city where I can just listen to some music, be by myself, and also look at how amazing everything is around here. I mean, this is beautiful and it's just very peaceful. I think one really big draw of St. Louis that would make me want to like stay here long after I've graduated is how much free stuff there is to do here. Because there's SLAM, like the Science Center, there's Contemporary Art Museum, and it's a really popular place for WashU students to come, but I think it can feel really special when you're with a group of people and just kind of like enjoying everything that's around us. I think it's just important to make sure you're visiting as like much of this city as you can. I know there's places that WashU students frequent more than others, and it's always going to be like that, and that's okay, but it's also about branching out. There's a sense of solidarity that comes with knowing your city and knowing the people in it, and I really value that.
I'm born and raised in St. Louis, but I'm actually a boomerang, so I moved away for a couple years and moved back to help my family with the business. And St. Louis is a great place to work and live. I grew up in the county, but I now live in the city. And what I've learned is, growing up here is very different than living here as kind of a professional. Even though I've been here for quite a while, I learn new things about the city every day. The Grove is a really funky neighborhood. It's really a unique place to be. It's changed so much over the past few decades. It used to be a very industrial neighborhood, and it's changed into more of a bohemian destination. Great nightlife, dining, cultural events. Really unique place in St. Louis. Folks who've been here for decades, along with newcomers, people who've just moved to St. Louis for their new job, people attending the university. It's a great mix of people and really makes the neighborhood really dynamic. The Grove is really cool. If you're dining on our patio, there's always something cool to see. St. Louis is really unique in the sense that it's either a very big, small town for some people or a small city. It's really a city of neighborhoods, so it can kind of be difficult to kind of get the full experience, but I would recommend you travel all around the region. Every little piece of the city is really unique, has something to offer. It's a really diverse place. You just have to go out and seek it. I think there's some misconceptions nationally about what St. Louis is, but I know that I've got friends who have grown up here all their lives, to friends who just moved here, and they found a little piece of the community that fits them and matches their interests. So I would just say go out and seek your people, but at the same time, we love our sports, we love our food. It's a great place to live and work, and I encourage you all to explore it.
The Delmar Loop is really cool in so many ways. I realized within a week of opening Blueberry Hill that I wouldn't succeed. It wouldn't succeed if I didn't work on the community. I didn't have money to do that, but I could organize people and just say, hey, let's try to bring this area back. Let's embrace diversity. Let's make it a strength of our neighborhood. And a lot of open-minded and tolerant people moved in and worked together, and I love it. I just love the fact that organically, just bit by bit, this area came back. Somebody didn't come in with $1 billion to try to rebuild it. It happened from a grassroots level, and that's why it's so solid. I guess the way that I would think of community as a definition would be when people really work together and they're open-minded and they're willing to listen to other points of view and discuss them and come to a conclusion what's best for all of us. And that builds a community. When I founded the nonprofit St. Louis Walk of Fame to highlight great St. Louisans who have affected our culture on a national level, it made sense to do it right here on Delmar. It's kind of fun because the informational plaques give you a little background, whether it's Tennessee Williams or Maya Angelou or Nellie or Bob Costas. And I love the fact that it's close to Washington University. We have such a great symbiotic relationship with WashU. There's always something to talk about here because there's so much to see. I love St. Louis, and I love in particular the Delmar Loop, where we are right next to Washington University. I love it because of all the independent business owners and merchants and all the variety of everything you can find here, from clothing boutiques to art galleries to live music venues. You can really have a good time here while you're at school. And your visitors, whether it's your family or relatives or friends, when they come in, bring them on down. I think they'll be knocked out by how cool the street is.
I love Ferguson because it feels like home, and I really connect with the people here, and I just think it's a great place to be. Ferguson is a really small community situated in North County, and the vibe is rejuvenation and unity and a lot of bonding that goes on at the Ferguson Community Center or downtown Ferguson, and it's just a great place to be. So a lot of people who also live in St. Louis but maybe live in different communities kind of have these preconceived notions of maybe what Ferguson is, based on what was televised nationally. That isn't all of what Ferguson is, and they weren't able to see the rebuilding of the community afterwards and the bonding afterwards. So I think that is right now probably our biggest challenge. Not so much like the unity of the community, but just the way that we're perceived maybe by other communities. So I think St. Louis has a deep history, and I also think that St. Louis is very diverse. I think that it's important to experience that diversity because St. Louis is also a little bit segregated in that way due to its history. So I think it's important to be able to experience different things that St. Louis has to offer. As hard as it may be to believe, St. Louis is so much bigger than WashU, and you want to try to make it off of WashU's campus. I think that it is a great privilege to go to a school like WashU. And I think that it's important to recognize that we are situated in St. Louis and that we should give back to a community that's gave to us. So whether you're only here for 4 years, if you've lived here your whole life, it's important to get out and explore and see what you can do within the community.
This neighborhood was really developed at the end of the last century, so the late 1800s. And in fact, a lot of the mansions along Lindell and Forest Park were part of the construction for the 1904 World's Fair. It's really an amazing history here that includes incredible architecture. It's also got a really great literary history. William Burroughs lived here, Kate Chopin, Tennessee Williams, T.S. Eliot. They're all from this neighborhood. I love not having to get in my car all the time. I can walk to grocery stores. I can walk to one of the best bookstores in the country. There are places to eat. It's just the walkability, the livability, the activity, feeling like you're part of a city. One of the wonderful things about living in a neighborhood and living in the Central West End is that we care about each other, that we greet each other on the street. You know, that I know the name of the person who's checking me out at the grocery store. Those are small things, but they're the things that make up a community. And I think that that's important. It's all relationship based. And it makes you feel like you are part of something bigger. And it's part of the joy of the day, right? You walk to a coffee shop and they greet you because they've seen you before. Those are the kinds of small things that add up. It's always wonderful to open up. Open up your brain, open up your heart, open up your spirit. See what things are really like. I mean, just walking around this area, in and of itself, there's beautiful architecture, there's wonderful shops. It's beautiful. It's a lively street scene. And I think that people can understand the diversity of our city when they get out of campus.
This summer I'm working on Cherokee Street at the Luminary, which is an art gallery, and I love what I do because I get to engage directly with community members every day. So the spirit of Cherokee Street is rather lively even on a weekday. It's not uncommon to hear music as you're just working and have the door open at your workplace. Lots of energy and definitely a dynamic working environment in my experience. Before I started working on Cherokee Street, I tended to hear that it was generally inaccessible from where I live and go to school, but once I was actually immersing myself in the experience of this community, I found out that those things couldn't be further from the truth. It's a very accessible location for arts and culture and dining and nightlife experiences, as well as not too far from what I call the WashU bubble. I think there's a unique level of devotion and commitment to the St. Louis area exhibited by locals. I think a lot of the people who have grown up here or lived here for a very long time feel an obligation to make the city better. I think we're a very self-aware population as well. We aren't afraid to address the problems that we have as a city as long as we are working together. I think engaging with the St. Louis community is about more than just getting out of your comfort zone, but it's also about applying what you learn in the classroom about social inequity and injustice, and making a material impact on the place you live.
This is a thriving neighborhood. There are folks who have been here all of their lives and have generations of people before them who lived here and cared about this neighborhood. So I think it is unfortunate that, we live in a society where just the categorization of a place can suggest what it is when you really need to get into the neighborhoods and learn what they are. It's described as North St. Louis, just a few, probably 10 minutes northwest of downtown, in the heart of what is a more recent years African-American neighborhood, initially German and Irish and some other ethnicities. Currently, we are at the love of my life, the passion of my heart, the everything that makes me go right now, and has been for the last 25 years. We're at the Grio Museum of Black History, which is at 2505 St. Louis Avenue. St. Louis has this really vibrant history, this really relevant history that just was not being told, particularly as it related to the role of African Americans who had a connection to this region. And it just didn't make sense. You could go other places and in other cities, and even they would have histories that would refer back to St. Louis African Americans, and it just continually made me wonder why we weren't doing it. And although there were several efforts and initiatives to build a Black museum, they just never happened. And before I knew it, I was founding this museum. It's a wonderful place to visit. It's a great experience for students who are in college. It's an excellent research opportunity for folks working on their doctorates and working on masters and wanting to get hands-on experience. St. Louis is an easy place to live. It has a terrible history of racial relationships that it needs to work on continually. But I think, again, for students, that's an opportunity for you to express yourself and have your voice heard beyond the walls of a university.
My name is Lynn Marie Alexander. I am the director and archivist of the Hill Neighborhood Center, which is funded by Hill 2000, our neighborhood association. We are an Italian immigrant community. Even though the first Italians came here in the late 1800s, early 1900s, we still maintain those traditions. For example, my family still does hand-rolled ravioli every year, which we make from scratch, and we pass that down. The character of the Hill is very much still family-oriented and community-oriented. We look out for each other, and we love to eat together. I am from the Hill. I grew up here. My mom grew up here. Actually, I live in my great-grandparents' house, which has been in the family since 1907. And my mom lives in the house directly behind us. All of the businesses on the Hill are family-owned. And that's one of the things that is unique to our neighborhood. We have no box stores here. There's no Starbucks. Every business here is family, and it's run by family. And some of our families that have come here, they're on their 6th generation. There are 27 places to eat, but it's a safe place to walk. It's interesting. You can play bocce. You can shop at the little boutique shops. There's great coffee shops here as well. And there are 3 Italian grocers, and they import their things from Italia. There are so many options to be able to widen your perspectives, from all of our neighborhoods to our museums, to our cultural festivals. All of these things are amazing opportunities to learn and to grow.
My name is Adam Flores. I'm a theater maker and community engagement manager. We are on South Grand, which is a part of the city proper. It's sort of a midway point between downtown and the further western edge where WashU's campus and Forest Park are. It kind of sits in the middle and runs north and south, and it's just an incredible strip of restaurants and bars and shopping places and establishments that have just grown over the time that I've been here. The International Institute is really nearby that provides resources for refugees and immigrants to the area. And of course, then they're going to move into the spaces that are close to them. When I first started coming to South Grand, I wasn't living anywhere near here, but this was a place that sort of drew me in and brought me outside of my bubble from the places that I was just around immediately. And so part of that is that this place exists as a receiving place for people from all over the city to come and eat and engage and shop and all of the kinds of things that are available here. This is a place for artists and activists and people of all sorts of places to come and feel there is some sort of community for them here. Big thoughts and big dreams are dreamt here on South Grand. Now some of them go far, some of them stay right here, but all of them are kind of generated from the sort of collective space of community that exists here. I think the best way that people can engage with new communities is to just show up as their full authentic self and try to sort of learn the rules and expectations and see if those fit and work for you and see how you might improve some of that space. As a WashU student, yes, you're looking for mentors and professors, but you're also looking for elders, people that have been walking in your experience for longer times. And whether that comes from an international culture or a queer culture or just a different POC culture, there are elders down here on South Grand that are willing to engage with you and provide you with larger knowledge. There are opportunities to engage with a wide range of cultures that might identify with you or might be something different than you. So be mindful, be smart, be caring, but don't enter in with fear, and so many worlds and opportunities will open up for you.